Greetings, Internet! It's Monica, and today I am doing a book haul. I have quite a few books I am very excited to talk about today. I got a few for my birthday, I've purchased a few recently, and yeah, I just got so many that I'm excited to discuss with you all, hear your thoughts and opinions on. And I also want to give a big thank you to Disney Book Group for sponsoring this video in celebration of one of their newest releases, just came out a couple of days ago, and that is Murder Trending by Gretchen McNeil. Now this book sounds so interesting. It's basically been compared to like Scream Queens meets The Hunger Games. Gives me kind of The Purge vibes as someone who has only seen the trailers of The Purge. Fun fact about me, I cannot watch anything scary. Can't do it. But I have this like weird fascination with the plot lines of like thrillers and horror films, so I always end up like Wikipediaing the plots for all of them. I don't know, I just can't watch scary things, but I'm like okay with reading them. But anyways, this book intrigued me because it sort of does what I always find very interesting about the horror and thriller genres, which is when they're not just sort of like slasher films, but they're actually like commenting on something by using horror, which I just find really interesting. I don't know, I just love a good metaphor and social commentary, and that is what this book is doing. I guess I should talk about what the book is about. Basically, this takes place in the near future. There is a prison called Alcatraz 2.0, which is like this suburbanized prison where all of these convicted felons are left to get like publicly executed, and people follow along in this sort of like Big Brother-esque app that called The Postman. She's kind of exploring like the extent of reality TV and social media and kind of the whole idea, which I think in a lot of ways as a culture, we've been dealing with the whole idea of like, how far will someone go in order to get views on social media? Recently, a YouTuber decided to take a bath in bleach, and it's like, this is the world we live in. And so this is sort of like an amplified version of that, and I find that really interesting. This follows a character, Liz, who is 17, and she ends up getting falsely convicted of a crime and sent to this island, and so she has to try and survive and also prove that she's not guilty. And I'm just really intrigued for this. I'm intrigued for what this author is going to be saying. I'm also quite excited for a bit of a thrillery read. I've heard that this is pretty intense when it comes to the violence, and so yeah, I am intrigued. We are right around the corner from fall, so this is like the perfect time for this type of book. I'm excited. So Murder Trending is already out. I will have more information and links in the description box below in case you would like to learn more. And thank you again to Disney Book Group for sponsoring this video. All right, so now I am going to dive into some books that I was given for my birthday. The first two I want to talk about were gifts from Emma from over at Miss Emma Reads a Lot, who is just so wonderful, like the most lovely person ever. But anyways, they're both manga. The first one is Interviews with Monster Girls, and basically this follows a group of monster girls who go to a high school, and it follows their high school bio teacher, Tetsuo Takahashi, as you kind of watch his journey as he tries to get to know these girls and then also just help them navigate the trials and tribulations of high school. Sounds lovely. So excited for this one. It looks, I had never heard of it, and it looks wonderful. I also really just like the way that it's designed. Like, I just like the feel of the cover. Is that a weird thing to be excited about? I don't know, but I'm excited. What this immediately made me think of is my favorite Scooby-Doo special, which is when the Scooby Gang go and like, I think it might just be Shaggy and Scooby who like go and work at this like school for monster girls, like the kids of all these like famous monsters, and I loved that special so much as a child, and this just reminds me of that in this weird way. So really excited for this. And then the next one is Kimi ni Todoki, From Me to You, Volume 1. So this one follows a girl who is like straight out of a horror story. Like that's how she seems and acts. But this story is a cute contemporary from my understanding. So a nice juxtaposition. She's like just basically really shy, and she ends up striking up the attention of the popular boy. And yeah, very excited for this. I know one of these Emma said was like one of her favorites, and one of them is one that she had just heard a lot of really good things about. I'm not sure which is which. I don't remember, but I am very excited for both. So thank you, Emma, if you're watching this. Bless. The next book I want to talk about was also a birthday gift, and this was a gift from Sarah at Sarah without an H, and it is Persuasion by Jane Austen. And so this is a book that I actually, when I had visited Sarah in Atlanta, we went to a bookstore and I saw this and I just like almost started crying because it's such a beautiful cover of Persuasion. The front and the back. I just love it so much. I love that she's looking out to sea and he's looking out to land. If you guys have read Persuasion, like, like Persuasion is just like one of my favorite Jane Austen novels. It's so rich with so much angst and just, I just love it so much. Persuasion is just like so wonderful. If you are looking for it, this is the Penguin Classics Deluxe Edition, the 200th anniversary of Persuasion, and it's just so beautiful. So thank you, Sarah. I love it. I have one more book that I got for my birthday, and that is Literary Witches, and this was given to me by my friend Elena, who does not make YouTube videos, but she does have an amazing Instagram, which I will link down below. But anyways, this is a celebration of magical women writers. So it sort of takes women writers and like looks at them like as though they were witches. So like Emily Dickinson is one of the greatest poets of all time, 1830 to 1886. And she is the specter of windows, flies, and the unexpected. It's just like this really beautiful, like the illustrations in here are so stunning. Little book that I just love. So yeah, I just really thought that was quite lovely. I bought a few books recently. The first one is Metamorphica by Zachary Mason. I will say though that now that I have seen the UK cover of this, I regret purchasing the US cover of it. But if you don't know, Metamorphosis by Ovid is one of my favorite, it's a book, one of my favorite books of all time. I'm not typically a classics reader, but there's something about those stories that I just adore. It's also one of my favorite plays of all time is Metamorphosis. I forget who wrote the play, but it was written by a woman based off of Ovid's Metamorphosis. So beautiful. But Metamorphica is another retelling of Metamorphosis by Zachary Mason, and he sort of looks at it, I guess, from like a psychological perspective. I bought it because I started reading it and the prose was just so beautiful that it was like just very poetic and flowery, and sometimes I just like want to read some beautiful words, and I love these stories already, and I loved his writing style from what I had read, so I've been sort of like dipping into this one. I've read a bit of it so far. It's all a bunch of like short stories, so I am able to like dip in and out of it, and I just really like it. So there is that. Next, I bought this book purely for the aesthetics, guys, and also because like the formatting of it intrigued me. It's this book called Hey Ladies, which I had been seeing around for a while. First of all, the edges are millennial pink, which drew me to it instantly. The design of it is just like so trendy for right now. I just think it's so beautiful. And then the story itself is told pretty much entirely via email, and it's like separated out by months, and it just sounded really interesting. It's like just the story of this friend group, and this group of women who are friends. I literally just said that. It's a bit redundant, but anyways, yeah, intrigued by this. The Goodreads reviews for it are very mixed. There are people who love it and people who hate it, and there don't seem to be a lot of people who are in between. It seems to be a lot of positive or negative. But yeah, it's supposed to be very funny. So I'm excited to hopefully laugh and like it. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. It's just like the design of it and the format, like the style of storytelling, both of those things together just really intrigued me. So I just had to give it a shot. Then I purchased, and this one you would have already seen had you watched my Booktubeathon TBR. I bought The Best We Could Do by T. Bowie. And this story is a graphic memoir. I bought it because I've seen this cover so many times and I just think it's beautiful. But the story itself also sounds beautiful. It is a graphic memoir that tells the author's family's story of moving from South Vietnam in the 1970s to the US and just what that experience was like as the child of an immigrant. I know, you know, growing up, you see how much your parent struggles and fights for you and does anything to make sure that you have a better life. And yeah, I'm excited to read this, and it sounds beautiful. And I'm sad I didn't get to it during Booktubeathon, but I ended up at the end, like all of my books at the end were like all graphic novels for the most part, and I just wasn't in the mood for any of them. I wanted to read other things, but I am planning on reading it very, very soon. Then I have a couple more books that were sent to me. The first one is Hocus Pocus and the all-new sequel. So I originally thought this entire book was the sequel, but apparently the first half of it is the film Hocus Pocus, not in like novel form, and then the second half is a sequel to Hocus Pocus, and it follows Max's daughter Poppy, who I believe is a lesbian, or at least like she has a girlfriend or something. I will say that this is one of those books that doesn't even have an author on the cover. So like I'm not planning on going into this expecting like the best prose in the world. I'm not going into them thinking they're gonna be like literary gold, but they're gonna be fun and they're gonna have like the vibe of what I love, and they're gonna continue the story, which is what I want. And I love Hocus Pocus and I love Halloween, and I'm excited to read this during that time. Then I was also sent Grace and Fury by Tracy Banghart. This book comes out, came out in July 2018. So this book is out. This is set in a world where women have no rights. You have two sisters. You have Serena, who's been groomed her whole life to be a Grace. And a Grace is someone who's just supposed to like stand near the heir and like be the example of the perfect woman. But then her sister ends up catching the heir's eye, and then one of them ends up in prison and one of them ends up in the palace. And it sounds interesting. I'm really into like feminist YA stories, so you kind of already had me there. But this has been out, but this has been out for a while, so if any of you have read it yet, please let me know what you think. I was also sent Foundry Side by Robert Jackson Bennett, and this was actually originally sent to my roommate Kaylee, and then she passed it on to me because she thought it was something that I would really enjoy, because this one has been blurbed by Brandon Sanderson, who y'all know I love. He is wonderful, or at least I thought it was blurbed by Brandon Sanderson, but that's the quote. It's set in a city that is run by industrialized magic. It features a character called Sansia Grotto, who is a thief in this city, and she ends up getting sent on this mission to, unbeknownst to her, steal this like incredibly magical artifact. And then all of a sudden, all the very like rich, powerful people in this city want her dead. And I love stories about thieves, and I trust Brandon Sanderson's taste, so I'm really excited for this. I'm really intrigued by the magic system. Apparently this object gives someone the power to use coded commands to imbue everyday objects with sentience. Sounds very interesting. Gives me Beauty and the Beast vibes. I mean, I guess not really, because they weren't objects first, they were people first who were turned into objects. Anyways, really excited for this book. This one comes out August of this year, so if you are interested in a new fantasy, this one might be one to check out. So yeah, those are the books that I have recently acquired. I am so excited to dive into these, especially I'm like now starting to get back into a manga phase. I'm currently reading the Book of Essie and I'm almost done with it. So after that, I think I'm going to want something a little bit happier because that book has been a little dark. If you have read it, you know. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have read any of these books, if there are any in particular that you would like to hear more about, please let me know. If there are any books that you are really excited about that come out in the next couple of months, also let me know, because I get a lot of the recommendations for what I end up picking up from what you guys comment. And I will talk to y'all next time. Bye!